Welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to show you how I would use SQL and Excel to answer this question about New York City's Citi Bike. Do subscribers have different usage patterns compared to non-subscribers? Let's go. First thing I would do is, this is how I always start my queries. I just write a very simple select star from the table where 1 equals 1 and I do limit equals 10. That way I can see a bit more how the table looks like. And in this case, you can see there seems to be some issues. Let's filter our data and let's make sure the start station and the end station always have an ID. So I would go ahead and write in the filter statement and start station ID is not null. And then same thing, end station ID is not null. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, at least now we have some data that we can look at and try to understand a bit more about the table. So there's some columns about trip duration, when the trip starts, when it ends, some more geography. Here's the subscriber, I guess, subscriber or not. So the columns that we're going to need are the following. And what I would normally do is put them in the select statement just so I can get them ready. So we want start time. We also want the user type. And that's pretty much it, actually. So that's good. Let's just see how that looks. Okay, now that we have the right columns, how do we need to lay out this data? Because obviously right now we have one row for every trip and that's not really going to help us. We said we want to know the hour of the trip and we want to know the day of the week. So let's get that ready. We don't really care about the start, all these details here. All we care about is the day of week and the start time. So what we can use is the extract from query. So extract, and we want the day from, actually we want the hour. And we can call this the hour. And another thing we want is we want the day of the week. So let's say day, I'm not sure what it's called actually. So let's just write day of week as day of week. And if this doesn't work, then we can ask Gemini. Oh, but it actually did work, so that's pretty good. And to make it a bit cleaner, instead of having day of week as 1, 2, 3, let's use the actual Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And to do that, I'm not sure actually, so I'm gonna put it in here and ask, can you modify the day of week column to get Monday, to get Mon, 2, 1. All right, so it looks like you can use this. So we can try that out. Let's see if that works. So format date. Start time as day of week. All right, that's pretty nice. I would also double check. I would do a quick Google search to make sure that this is a legit function, but it seems to be working. So this is looking a lot better. Now we want to aggregate this because we don't really want one row to be a given trip. We can just aggregate this. And to do that, let's just add the count of each row, number of trips. And to do that, we also have to add the group by all function on the bottom. And this should work. All right, there we go. So now we have a data set of only 336 rows telling us for each hour, for each day of the week, whether you're a subscriber or not, how many trips are done in there. And I think we have enough now to start to bring this into Excel and do our own analysis. So to do that in this case, we can just save results to CSV. We'll upload and let's open it up. And I always like to set up my Excels in 3 different tabs. So the data will always be called data. And I like to also name my table right away. So you can go insert table. Okay. And we can call it data. I also like to add another tab called SQL where I paste the SQL into it. That way when I come back to it, if I come back to this Excel in a few months, I have the SQL that I could run myself. And then lastly over here, we're going to write this is where we're going to start using the pivot tables to get a bit more information. All right, so now that we're cleaned up, let's go ahead and write insert pivot table, and we call it data. Now to see the different usage patterns, we can look at the hour on the rows, and let's put the day of week on the columns. And we can put the number of trips in here as well. There you go. Whoops. Now let's format this a bit nicer. We can also add a comma on the numbers because they seem a bit ugly to look at. So we can go ahead over here, put number of decimal places none, and we use the 1000 separators to add a comma. And also, we want to look at subscribers versus non-subscribers. So let's add a filter here to look at subscribers. Whoops. Subscribers only. Still looking at this, it's not super clear how the usage pattern is working out. So let's add some conditional formatting like this. Okay, so this is off the bat, it's pretty clear what's going on over here. So for subscribers, we can see that on the weekends, there's the peak seems to be around 2 o'clock with no other clear peaks. Same thing on Saturday as well. But then when you look at throughout the week, there's a clear pattern showing that subscribers tend to use the Citi Bikes during rush hours. So in the morning, before work, and right after work. Let's see what it looks like for non-subscribers. It's a completely different story here. So it's very clear that subscribers are the ones that are going and using their Citi Bike to commute versus the non-subscribers are not. This is super valuable information. And to make it a bit more obvious, maybe we should put them side by side here and use this one as the non-subscribers. And that's enough. I think this is pretty clear. So coming back to our question, are there different usage behaviors between subscribers and non-subscribers? This is pretty clear, and this data really does illustrate that. Now, since we're working for the marketing department of Citi Bike, there's 2 things that we could take away from this. The first thing is that it's pretty clear that commuters like the subscriber plan. So whenever we do our marketing, we should make sure to speak directly to that customer segment. The second takeaway here is if we want to start launching a marketing campaign, we should make sure to have a lot of ads near business centers, transportation hubs like buses and metros, since it's clear that this subscriber plan is used by commuters and people that go to work. Now, while this was a pretty simple query, as someone who's worked in data for over 3 years, this is usually the workflow. You look at the data in SQL, understand it, bring it to Excel, and run your analyses there. Oftentimes, you don't need to overcomplicate things and bring in Python or R. Excel is a powerhouse. If you want to watch more on how to be a super effective and efficient data analyst, make sure to watch these 2 videos. Thanks for watching.